What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over what I think is the best assault rifle in Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 2. I've been getting asked about this a bunch, what I think of the Cobra DMR being unvaulted, what I think of the new Havoc Suppressed assault rifle, and then obviously the Red Eye Remains, which is my favorite from last season. So I'm going to be talking about all these weapons, how I think about them, how I like to use them, and which one is my personal favorite. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below which rifle is your favorite currently in the game right now. I think all of these options are really, really solid, though. So we're going to start off with the Havoc Suppressed assault rifle since it's a new one, and this is the only third-person bloom-based AR in the game right now. The Scar and the FAMAS were vaulted, and it's actually really good. It doesn't have as much damage as the Scar had, but it has like a solid fire rate and very, very low bloom and a fast reset time on the bloom, meaning like as soon as you stop shooting, you get back to first shot accuracy very quick, making it very solid for tap firing at like really long range. Compared to the Scar last season, like I said, it is weaker, but to me, it feels so much better and more enjoyable to use because of that reduced bloom. Like, personally, when it comes to the bloom-based weapons, I would rather have one that feels a bit weaker, but is less random because it has less bloom. Whereas, like, the Scar had more damage. So, if you got very fortunate bloom, or you were within a range where it really didn't matter, you could kill people incredibly fast. But at those longer ranges, or in a situation where bloom wasn't on your side, you're not going to hit very many shots, and while it might have more damage per bullet, you're going to be hitting less bullets, so it just led to the weapon feeling less consistent than what the Havoc Suppressed AR feels to me, or like what the Hammer AR felt like the season before the Scar came back. Personally, though, I think that the main thing holding this back is its pullout time. So, like, for me to want to use a third-person bloom-based AR, it would be because of the versatility. Like, you could get by running just, like, a two-gun setup, like how we had for a lot of Chapter 2. And Chapter 3, Season 4, with, like, the Prime Shotgun and the Hammer AR, a lot of people just ran two guns, or Ranger Shotgun Hammer AR. With this weapon, the pullout time is so bad that it doesn't feel good just using like Havoc Pump and this together, especially the Havoc Pump, because the pullout time on that is also terrible. But even like Maven Shotgun and Havoc Suppressed Assault Rifle just doesn't feel as good to me, or Combat and Havoc Suppressed Assault Rifle doesn't feel as good to me because of the pullout time. I feel like as far as like being an AR goes, a weapon like this will never really be better than the first person weapons to me at like really long range. But if it has that versatility, like its value kind of comes from being able to carry extra utility, extra heals, or maybe even a sniper, but the slow pullout time of this weapon makes it just feel really bad to use as a follow-up weapon to your shotgun, and that really deters me from pretty much ever wanting to use it. If they buff the pullout time of this weapon, I could see a lot of players starting to use it, though, just to free up the like space in their inventory. I think this weapon is just like one minor change like that, away from being good, because it does feel good to use. Like, using the weapon and shooting people with the weapon feels nice. It's just that pullout time, I feel like, really kind of holds it back from being what it could be. And like, it is what it is. The Cobra DMR is the highest damage AR in the game right now. It's a DMR. I know I'm going to get those comments like, it's a DMR, not an assault rifle. Who cares? They fill the same void in your loadout. You know, medium to long range is what you're going to do. Like, in Fortnite, I don't really pick weapons based on like the category of weapon they are. I pick weapons based on the range that they fill, like the range at which they're going to be viable. And so for this video, I'm considering the Cobra DMR an AR. It has the highest damage compared to like the Red Eye, and it does also have a slightly higher fire rate than the Red Eye, but I still think the Red Eye is much better. And the main reason is because of the range. Like I had already kind of just said, I pick my weapons based on range. And if I'm using my assault rifle in Fortnite, it's probably because the opponent is like a decent distance away, or they're not paying attention to me and I just want to get opening tags. And the Cobra DMR can be good for those situations if you're used to it, but it's projectile, meaning that the bullets have travel time, and so you have to lead shots potentially and compensate for like the opponent moving, or, you know, bullet drop, or even just there's like a weird glitch in the game with projectile weapons where sometimes your bullets just don't count for whatever reason. I'm sure if you guys use the DMRs, you've probably experienced that at some point. So it's just less convenient to use than the Red Eye, and I feel like that really kind of locks it to being only used at a certain range. Like, up to like 50 meters or so, I think this weapon is really, really good. But past that, it's not as good. And I need my AR to be better past that. And then also, if somebody's using mobility to get away from you, like one of the motorcycles, or the katana, a rift, and they're flying, the glider redeploy augment, or even just like a launch pad that exists in some parts of the map, I just I don't feel as comfortable closing those kills with the Cobra DMR as I do the red eye. And those situations will matter a decent amount in this game. The katana is very prevalent, so you're probably going to get into a lot of situations where you have someone very weak and they're just trying to katana away. And if you can hit 2 or 3 shots on them while they're traveling through the air and kind of teleporting around, you'll get the kill. But with the Cobra DMR, that just feels much more inconvenient to me than the red eye. One really nice thing about the Cobra DMR, though, is it is more versatile than the DMR was last season, and it also does pair with the Bloodhound perk, meaning every time you shoot someone, it will ping them to yourself and your teammates, kind of like how Stormmark was, or when you capture a point. So this is really good at shooting people in bushes, or if you're playing team game modes and you fry somebody, it's very easy for your teammates to know which one you fried because it's pinged for all of them. You know what I mean? Or if you do happen to hit somebody in a bush, it marks it for everybody. You can close that kill really easily. So I feel like the Bloodhound perk is really good, especially if you play in team game modes. And this existed last season, but like the old DMR, like I said, it just wasn't as versatile. So you were locked into like more of a slower playstyle. Whereas with the Cobra DMR, you can use this weapon at like kind of medium range. I feel like that's where it excels, is medium range. So if you like the DMR, the Bloodhound perk is good. I think it's a good weapon. I just don't prefer it. Like if there's hit scan and projectile weapons in the game and they're like equally as good in my mind, I'm going to go with the hit scan weapon just because it's going to feel more consistent to me. And that's what the red eye is. And then also, this is just a preference thing, but I like the red eye sight much more than the Cobra DMR sight. Again, just preference, but it is something that matters to me. And so finally, we're going to get to the red eye, which this is my favorite AR for the reasons I already outlined. It's hit scan, meaning you don't have to worry about leading shots. And obviously there's a skill to leading shots, but with how chaotic fights can be in Fortnite with mobility and such, just having a weapon that's very consistent and very reliable is really nice. And with the katana being in the game, I don't find it hard to like close the gap on enemy players. So the red eye is much better than the other options past like 50 or 60 meters, I would say, you know, those really long range fights. And if you hit somebody 150 with the red eye long range, it's very easy to close the gap on them with the katana. And then I also feel like that kind of makes the advantages of the Havoc Suppressed AR and the Cobra DMR not as viable, because like where those weapons shine over the red eye is going to be in medium range, you know, like 20 to 50 or 60 meters or so. The Havoc Suppressed AR and the Cobra DMR are probably better than the red eye, but I just feel like I don't get in a lot of fights that take place at those ranges because of the katana existing. I feel like most fights are either like pretty long range or very close range, and that medium range just doesn't really happen as much because of the mobility in the game. It's very easy to translate your initial damage into like a close range shotgun fight. Or if you don't want to have a mid-range fight, it's very easy to back up with your katana and outrange the people using like the Cobra DMR or the Havoc Suppressed AR. So that is why I prefer the red eye. It's just much more consistent and much more reliable to me. And that's what I want out of my assault rifle. I want it to be good for getting opening tags, and I want it to be good at shooting people that are running away from me or using some sort of mobility. And the red eye just excels at that. If you view your AR as like your main weapon that you're going to be getting a lot of your kills with, I could see the Havoc Suppressed AR or the Cobra DMR being like more viable because of those medium range. But like I said, my AR is for tags and it's for people running. And then after that, or aside from that, most fights are going to be within shotgun range because of how prevalent mobility is in the game right now with the katana, or last season with the hammer, or the season before that with like shockwave grenades, the Nimbus Cloud. There's been good mobility every season of Zero Build, and so I feel like that just kind of makes the game very close range and long range oriented, and you don't really have the mid range as much. So finally, we're going to talk about the pulse rifle because it is an AR. I wanted to talk about the other ones first, though, because these are the ones you're going to be able to get reliably, whereas the pulse rifle, the only way it exists on the map right now is from the Mythic that you get from capturing the island at 4th Zone. And I'm sure if you watch any of my videos or you just play the game, you know how insane the Mythic pulse rifle is. And I've seen a lot of players running just this in their shotgun, and I definitely do think that could work. The pulse rifle dominates at close range. At medium range, it's arguably better than the Havoc Suppressed AR and the Cobra DMR as well. And then it is very solid long range if you're comfortable using like the third person ARs at long range. It is godlike at every range. I'm just not as comfortable using a third person weapon past like 80 or 90 meters as I am something like the red eye, the first person weapon. And I feel like for a lot of controller players, that's also going to be the case. If you like using the pulse rifle at really long ranges, it's a great gun. You could run just like a 2-gun setup once you capture the island, but I still like using a red eye once I get it. And like I said, I prefer the red eye for longer range, and the pulse rifle really has magazine limitations. So if you're using it as like your long range weapon to spray somebody and then you want to push them, like let's say you tag them like 3 or 4 times, but you shoot like 10 bullets, not the best accuracy, but it's still like 30%. That's going to be better than most players, you know? That's like half of your magazine gone with the pulse rifle. And if you get up on the opponent and then you have half a mag on the pulse rifle and you need to use that as your spray weapon to follow up the pump, I feel like the odds of you getting in like a weird situation where your pulse rifle runs out of ammo is just way more likely if you're using it as your main AR and your spray weapon at the same time. So I like to have my red eye as my main AR, and then we just use the pulse rifle as the spray weapon all the time. That way I don't really have to worry about any sort of range concerns or magazine concerns at all. The same thing can happen if you get third-partied. You know, if you're using it as your main AR and you've exhausted most of your ammo trying to shoot somebody like katanaing away from you or something, and then you get third-partied and your pulse isn't loaded, I feel like it's just very, very detrimental. Like, the biggest weakness of the pulse rifle, in my opinion, is that magazine size. So the more fights you're using the pulse rifle for, or the more like types of situations you're using it for, I feel like it's more likely that you're going to run into that ammo concern. But it can be very good as a 2-gun loadout if that's something you want to do. It's just not something I prefer to do. I could do it if I needed to, like if I was in a situation where I had to use the chug cannon for whatever reason because it was the only heal I had, then sure, I could carry like pulse rifle, shotgun, chug cannon, and katana, and that would work just fine. But it's just not something I want to opt into most of the time because I want to make sure that thing is loaded for close range fights because that is where it really shines. But that's going to be my opinion on the ARs. I think all of them are really solid, like I said at the start of the video. It's just the way I think about the weapons I'm going to use is very range-based. And while the advantages that the Havoc Suppressed AR and the Cobra DMR have over the Red Eye is good, it's just not really worth me carrying it, especially if I'm going to have to carry a spray weapon anyways. Like, I could see the Havoc Suppressed being viable if you could use it as your AR and your spray, but if I'm going to have to be carrying an SMG or a tactical pistol to combo with my shotgun anyways, then I might as well have the AR that dominates at long range, because there is some overlap between the ranges that the Havoc Suppressed and the Cobra DMR are better than the Red Eye, where like the Twin Mag and the tac pistol are just better than those as well in like some of those ranges. So I've found that shotgun, SMG or pulse rifle, heals, katana, and then the Red Eye has worked best for me this season, but I do think all of the ARs are really solid this season, and they definitely have their place. Let me know down in the comments below which your favorite is. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to give a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.